Welcome to Making a Smarter Agent, a podcast for people who sell things for a living. Sales, the easiest job to get and yet the hardest one to succeed at. Each week, I take a deep dive into the methods used by the winners in sales, the people who seem to make selling look easy. Today, I've got Terry Thompson, a top producer on Long Island. What should I say, Long Island or the Hamptons?
Well, where I really specialize in the Hamptons, so I would say the Hamptons.
Okay, so correction. Just for the people that are listening nationally, even though the Hamptons are on Long Island, it's almost like people who go to Wharton don't identify as University of Pennsylvania, they identify as Wharton. So you identify as Hamptons. Let's stick with the Hamptons. Let us know who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it.
Well, my name is Terry Thompson. I have lived out on the east end of Long Island, known as the Hamptons, since 1993. I actually come from a financial background. I had worked with UBS for many years and actually started with Douglas Elliman in real estate at the perfect time when the market crashed in 2009-ish. So I try to take things from a little bit of a different angle, having started after the boom.
Sure. And what was, what drove you into it? Because at that point you were between a rock and a hard place. You're in finance, so 2009 wasn't the time for that. So you said, okay, great, life will be easier in real estate. And
well, actually, I retired from the finance industry in 2000, moved to Connecticut, started in a new business. Actually, I think there's probably a lot of people out there who have a backstory, but I restarted and reinvented myself in 2009. I won't go into what happened from 2000 to 2009, but
okay.
I basically, was in the process of a divorce and moved back to the East End full time. I was only here part time at that moment, and just said, you know what? I love real estate. I've built some homes. I've renovated some homes, and I'm going to surround myself with all positive people and get started. And that's exactly what I did.
Terrific. And when, from the day you started, when did you actually have your first closing?
Well, I started in March of 2009 and I closed 4 homes that year. I want to say probably by the summer. I made a lot of money the first year. I made $32,000. So that was my first. And I think I probably spent 15 in advertising, so that was a challenge. But my goal every year was just to keep building and do the next right thing, and surround myself with great professionals, and build my strategic partnerships. So 10 years later, it's been a really, really great experience.
That's great. So you did 4 deals in a year, so 1 a quarter every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And in year 2, did it narrow?
Year 2, year 2, I was rookie. Well, I guess they started me, my first full 12 months was 2010. And I came in rookie of the year. And I want to say, I think I sold 8 or 9 houses. And then every year it kind of went up 50%. So that was my goal, to just continue to grow 50% a year. And then I would say the last 3 years I've leveled off to my overall goal, having built my team and built my strategic partners. It's kind of on autopilot now. We all just have to work hard. Okay, work hard.
So, since this podcast is for real estate agents and other people in sales, I want to stress that we will be having some guests that are just champions in sales, not necessarily real estate. Let us in on what the total sales were in 2019. Can you?
2019, interestingly enough, was my best year. My team and I closed 30 homes. We have 5 more that are closing this month that didn't make it. They were in contract last year. And I usually try to break $1 million in GCI with Douglas Elliman. So luckily, last year I went over and above that. And it really is just all about putting systems in place and making sure that everybody on the team is doing what they do best. And I think I've learned that over the last several years. You have to look at what people's talents are and let them really, take the reins and do what they do.
So $1 million in GCI. Wow, that's awesome. It sounds like a great year. I mean, actually fairly typical of you, but it was the best yet. So that's a lot to be proud of. When you say you have to work hard, talk to us about the process. How much time do you actually put in working?
Interestingly enough, my first 4 years, I literally was working 80-hour weeks and I didn't have anybody working with me. So I just wanted to prove that I could build a business. And, you have to decide if you're new in the business. Do you want to run your own business under the umbrella of the company you work for, or do you want to work on a team? I've always run my business like I'm a business owner. So I understand that you have to spend money to make money. I understand that you have to advertise in whatever way you do that best. And I really outsource a lot of what I do so that there's a specialist in each section of my business. For example, social media. I outsource that to a young lady who's local, who knows me. We work together. We do videos together. But she knows how to manage and knows all of the new idiosyncrasies of Facebook and Instagram that change on a regular basis. So I let her run that and I pay her. I'm not afraid to pay people for what they do best.
So you've got her for social media. Walk us through some of the tools that you use to get the Terry Thompson brand out there.
First thing is you have to develop your strategic partner. So if you're working with a customer, whether it's a buyer or a seller, you need your go-to people. So I need my local attorneys, of which I have 3 that I love, that I know are going to get us to the closing table. I have my banker that I will, before I bring people to homes, I want to know, can they afford to mortgage, or what kind of back information do we need to know, of what kind of house can we get them into. I also realized that, don't compete with the competition, make them irrelevant. If everybody is advertising in Hamptons magazine, I've always advertised online. I do no print ads whatsoever, but I've been investing my advertising dollars with Trulia and Zillow now for 10 years. A lot of people don't find it valuable, but I spend a lot of money monthly, and I find that for me, that brings in my leads. My team manages some of the buyer leads. I get a lot of organic seller leads who see that I've got 50 reviews. They're all, they're all 4 to 5 stars. So it's
and where does your business break down as far as buyers and sellers
50-50.
go? What percentage of your business?
Every year it turns.
Has it always been that way? It
always turns into 50-50, and I do every range of business. So I might sell a $400,000 house or a $5 million house, and it all averages out. And in our market right now, under $2 million has been very active over the last year. However, I'm hearing from managers and colleagues that all of the market is really picking up on the East End. So everybody who thinks that it's dead out here, we're very active. I've got appointments all week.
Amazing. It's wonderful. I thought I was the only one busy here in South Florida, so it's good to hear. Look, my biggest problem is that I've got 4 buyers that won't buy until they sell up north. So to hear that is incredibly heartening.
Yeah.
I think that's
great. If you're working, you're making money. If you're complaining, you're not working. That's out here, there's always a pipeline of people shopping. You have to really understand the market and how to guide them to the right areas that fit their needs. And really finding the house is the easy part. Getting them to the closing table is where you have to bring in all your professionals and make sure that it's a smooth process.
And so you got your social media person, you're doing other market. What overall? Because I'd love to get you back at some point and we could do a whole thing just on one aspect of marketing. But what are you spending annually on marketing?
I think I run about $80,000.
Okay.
Oh, and $40,000 of it is Zillow.
Zillow.
People can complain all they want about Zillow. Right now, for me, it works. I spend about $40,000 on Zillow because I put all my videos on there, and it's about really just giving the best exposure you possibly can to your homes. Sure.
And to the agents that are listening, Terry makes a very good point about video and Zillow. You want to just explain to everyone the advantage of putting video on your listing video on Zillow or their silent video that they have?
Well, I don't do the video that they have. Listen, they're always looking for another way to get paid, and we know that, and we know it's not great, but they have a program where if you're already an advertiser of if you're already a premier agent, you can spend a minimum of another $500 and you can now post your own live videos. I have Rise Media, the media company I work with, shoot professional live videos of my properties, and then I can send that link to them. I don't do the video walkthroughs that they have that are silent because I don't think they're professional enough. I want everything to be, it's got to represent my brand. And if the photos aren't perfect and there's not water in the pool and there's not, leaves on the trees, then we make sure that it's there. And
sure.
I would say anybody starting in the business, you really have to make sure that the way you represent yourself is top of the line always.
Yeah. No, listen, all that is really well said. But as I'm looking at this, I know you did better than $1 million in GCI, and 8% of that is spent on marketing. That sounds quite remarkable, actually. That sounds like you're really making the most of your marketing dollars.
I focus online. It's all online. There's
that's
nothing.
Great.
So.
Any events, any parties? I for example, and I'm going to give a gratuitous plug here. February 18th, I rented the ballroom at St. Andrew's Country Club, and I've got Howard Lauber coming along with Bruce Toll, the CEO of Toll Brothers. So for the agents down here that are listening, if you'd like to come, definitely give me a buzz. But I'm just curious, are you doing anything like that or any parties?
I do in the fall. I usually I invite everybody to one of the restaurants out here that's it's kind of like after the season is over. So I do that, and I also try to get people when we have events, for example, the Hamptons Classic. I'll try to maybe take a table and invite some people. But I try to keep in touch with them more regularly. We're very social out here because we're in a more of a seasonal market. So we see people all summer. It gets a little quieter in the winter.
Okay, yeah, and obviously I'm the reverse of that. So down in Florida, so I certainly know about seasonal stuff. As far as the team that you have, you were mentioning a team. How many people do you have? An assistant? How many people are working with you? Let's break that down.
It's interesting. I should have an assistant, but I still haven't found somebody. I have two gentlemen that are seasoned in sales, and they get probably half of my Zillow leads. So I have them as buyers agents, and they do all of the open houses. So then, of course, there's more buyers that come in through that. I'm still trying to find somebody to be sort of a listing manager to open doors because we don't do lock boxes here. We have to show up. We want to show up for every showing to represent our product. So it's really myself handling a lot of it and the two gentlemen that work with me. And then I have my media person. I have my front desk who does a lot of my email blasts. So I think you have to break down your business in your own way. I know people in my office do it all different ways, but you have to kind of find a niche that works for you.
Sure. And you introduced me a while ago to HomeLight and some of these other iBuying type of services. How has that been for you? And maybe you could explain to everyone what HomeLight is and what I forgot the name of the other one you had.
These guys in California or wherever they are pretty smart because they buy Google ads space. So if you have, let's say you're an agent in Florida and somebody Googles best agent in Boca, they buy top 3 spaces. So then the buyer or seller will click on them. They take the lead and then refer it back out. So I actually do 3, 4, 5 deals a year through HomeLight, UpNest, Fast Expert, Top Agent Choice. There's a lot of them. And they'll come to you, they'll say, hey, I have a seller who's interested in, selling in Southampton. And I guess they do review a few people. I think they give out more than one agent. And you just have to interview for the job. And I've gotten 4 or 5 listings last year that we sold through these companies. Take a referral fee. They take a 25 to 30% referral fee at the end. It's
a bite in the ass.
Well, you know what? I leverage everybody. There's very few deals that I even close that are 100% me. There's usually 3 or 4 people getting paid out on them.
So, well, good. Then that brings me to the next thing. How many deals did you refer out? I know that I've been the recipient of a couple of things. Thank you very much, and we've had some success. Which hopefully will continue. But I also have noted that you've received leads. How many leads do you give out a year that go on to close, and how many do you receive?
So I probably give out maybe 10 or so a year, but I'm always asking. So anytime I'm working with someone, I always say, where do you live? Where are you selling? And sometimes, I mean, it's in an obscure place, like on a lake in Georgia, you know? So it's just something that has to be part of your conversation all the time.
Sure. Okay. No, look, it makes up a significant portion of your business.
Well,
Portion of
referrals
your
just
revenue.
in general, between all of the different types of referrals in and out, represents about 40% of my business.
Amazing. And I really want the agents who listen to this to hear that and let that sink in, because I just can't believe how some agents have been just downright disrespectful to other people in the business or haven't spent the time nurturing the relationship.
You can't be afraid to give. You can't be afraid to be a giver. So I have a couple of a team from a totally different company that I will not mention that bought a house from me, gave me a referral. And from that referral, 4 of their friends bought, people that the 2 agents didn't even know. And I always send back the referral fee. So they got 5 referral fees from me on 5 sales. So of course, we do a lot of business together. So you have to be a giver. You can't always be looking for, you sell one house and then you say, well, you didn't really refer the next one to me, even though their friend bought. So you have to I always keep the money flowing.
Do you keep a ratio between the actual number of leads, good or bad, versus the number of closings? For example, you did 30 sides in 2019. Well, hold on. Was it 30 sides or 30 deals?
30 deals closed and 5 more. So 35 contracts.
35 sides. And how many leads actually created those 35?
I have no idea.
Was it 10 to 1?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I know how much I spend and how much comes in from it, but I really don't know, there's a lot of leads that come in that are just nothing, that, people spend money on these internet leads and a lot of them are just not great, but you have to cultivate. When you get a good one, you have to cultivate it.
All valuable stuff. What would you advise a newcomer in the business? If you look back at 2009 when you got into it, what were some of the mistakes that you might have made that you would warn someone coming in today that they should try and avoid?
Well, I would look more at what you can do right. I think that I was very fortunate to work in a company that I would say for new agents to really ask a lot of questions and get involved with the other agents in their office and see what they can do for them. Ask them if you can do their open houses. My first client came from me doing an open house for another agent in a different office in a different town. And I sold 5 houses to that first client between buy and sell over the last 10 years. And one of them was last year. So I would say really just put yourself around the successful people, not necessarily the ones making the most money, but the ones that have integrity and know how to run their business and do the next right thing. Just surround yourself with only positive people and learn from them and ask questions and see how you can help them. And don't be afraid to do some stuff for free.
That's brilliant. Words to live by. A couple other questions here. You participate in my weekly think tank, Rain Nation, every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Anything you want to share with the listeners about what that's been like for you? What the experience has been talking to different agents every week and people from different parts of the country?
Well, it just gives you some insight as to how everybody can be unique and do things differently, but still be successful. But what I notice is that everybody has some sort of a different angle or gift that they capitalize on. So, Terry Robeson, he does different events in the city, and that's productive for him. Some people are phone people. Some people are socializers. So you can run your business differently, but it's not follow what someone else is doing. It's decide what works for you and what you're good at and find your niche and go for it.
Fantastic. Okay. I know it's a bit out of order, but I'm just curious, so you were growing 50% till you got to a certain point. Was that a conscious effort to say, you know what, I'm working hard enough. I don't need any more. Therefore, I'm going to maintain this level of discipline and pretty much reap a very similar amount every year? Or what made you stop at that
It's not
point?
that I'm stopping, it's that I really can't work those hours anymore. So I want to, I always set that million GCI goal last year. We did okay. The year before we were a little short. Year before that we hit it. It's just that I find that it's no fun to always be working. So I try to take some time off, take a couple hours. I usually don't take full days off, but a few hours here and there, or at the end of the year, take a week and a half, 2 weeks. So it's also just relying on your team and not being afraid to delegate and let other people earn as well.
Do you farm?
Funny enough, I have a guy from another company that he just has been following me for a few years. I have his rental listing out here. I don't do a lot of rentals, but he called me and said, can I cold call for you, FSBOs, and would you give him a referral fee? I said, sure. Well, the guy is an animal on the phone. He's fantastic. And in the last 5 days, we opened 2 new listings.
Wow. From this guy cold calling?
From him calling homeowners, people that get calls from everybody. Somehow he gets them on the phone. He's not even working with my company. He's with a totally different company in Nassau County. He says, I work with Terry Thompson. I have a house in the Hamptons. She's the best, and you really need to talk to her and, tell me why you feel that listing it yourself is going to be better than listing it with a top producer. And we opened 2 out of 4.
And it's just the beginning. You may very well wind up working like crazy again this year.
Yeah, he
really
said he wants to get me 10 for the year. I said, you're going to get me 10 for the month at the rate you're going.
Yeah, that's a lot to be proud of. That's great. And any reason why he would just make the call and not do it himself?
Because he lives in a different town and he doesn't specialize in the Hamptons and he doesn't have the access to everything we have out here. So he's leveraging me. So he's just going to collect referral fees and sit on the phone.
Terry, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here today. I hope, like I said, I could talk to you all day long. I hope we could have you back again and we could talk about a very specific marketing topic because, boy, you are just a treasure trove of information.
I am really happy that you asked me to speak. I had a great time. I'm always available. I've been out here 30 years, so if you have any questions on the Hamptons, just always ask me. And, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you at our next conference in a month or so.
Yep. See you and for the Elliman agents that are listening, see you all, hopefully, in March in Connecticut.
Thank you for listening to Making a Smarter Agent. Do me a favor. If you liked Making a Smarter Agent, please go to Apple Podcasts or any of the podcast services you might be listening through and give me 5 stars. I look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, connect with Rain Nation, that's RAIGNATION, on Facebook. It's part think tank, part group therapy for realtors, all coaching, and it's affordable. Please tune in again next week to listen to another exciting episode of Making a Smarter Agent.